In this video, I'm going to be going over the ultimate YouTube ads remarketing strategy that you need to start implementing right now. This is the same strategy that we've been using for all of our clients, and this is the thing that gets our clients from an average ROAS of say 2 to 3x all the way up to 4, 5, even 6x ROAS. You are definitely going to want to implement all of these strategies that I'm going to be going over. But before I do that, I do want to make a quick note. If you are looking for a how to do remarketing video, there's going to be a link in the description where I go over the actual how to and go through a screen share tutorial. This video is actually going to focus on the what to remarket, when to remarket, and who to remarket to aspect of your campaigns. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Neil and I run Linx Digital. We are an agency that helps people run really effective YouTube ads. Let's jump right into it. These are the 3 key things I think every single remarketing strategy needs in order to be successful with YouTube ads. So the first key is going to be a general holistic tip, which is that you want to be remarketing and making ads for every step in your customer journey. Anytime your customer might fall out of your funnel, you want to use remarketing ads to bring him back into the funnel. But do keep in mind that at every step of the funnel, your ads do need to be different because the customer journey at each step is going to be different. With that said, let's jump into the second key thing, which is you want to remarket sooner rather than later. That's because the further out a customer is removed from your funnel or removed from the customer journey, the less likely they are to convert. What do I mean by this? Let's take an example. Let's say a potential customer watched half of your webinar and then hopped off. They are much more likely to go back and watch the rest of the webinar if they saw a remarketing ad within the first couple of days of falling off, as opposed to a month or a couple weeks out. And you know what they say, you want to strike them while the iron is hot, which brings us into key number 3. And key number 3 is that you want to be constantly showing up with remarketing ads. Listen, we've all heard this statistic before. The average person needs 7 touch points before they buy something from you. So your brand needs to establish a minimum of 7 touch points before a potential customer is going to buy from you. So you can accomplish a lot of these touch points through remarketing ads. And I will say this, especially with YouTube ads, sometimes 7 is the bare minimum, because if you have a high ticket product or your selling cycle is very long, you're definitely gonna want a lot more touch points. That being said, sometimes it can be less, especially if your product is cheaper or if your sales cycle is very short, or if your customer is getting those touch points through other means, not just YouTube remarketing ads. So if they are opted into your email newsletter, or they follow you on social media, or they are following your brand's launches and things like that, those things are also going to take in place for those 7 touch points. So keep that in mind when you are building out your remarketing strategy. So now that you have the fundamental understanding of what every remarketing strategy needs, let's jump into the specific points in the funnel where we're going to develop certain strategies to bring people back in. So let's begin with top of funnel. Now, these can be people that have watched your ad, maybe they've gone on your website or interacted with a lead magnet, but somehow fallen out of your funnel. So with this audience segment, you really want to be aggressive, especially within the first couple of days. Again, like I said, you want to hit them while the iron is hot. So within this top of funnel remarketing strategy, I like to break down my audience segments between 3 days, 7 days, and 14 days. And I like to be super aggressive with my frequencies within the first 3 days. This is again because people are going to be a lot more likely to convert within the first few days as opposed to later on down the timeline. And in terms of frequencies, this really does depend offer to offer, but a general rule of thumb is you can get away with 1 view a day, especially for the 3-day audience, and then slowly taper off for some of the bigger audiences like the 14-day ones. Now, the goal of your top of funnel remarketing ads should be to re-engage the customer with whatever incentive or lead magnet or front-end offer that you had in place. So if you had a free training that people didn't finish at the top of funnel, you want to make an ad that's urging people to go back and finish that webinar. If you have a PDF and you found that people are going to the landing page but not really downloading it or not opening their emails, then you want to make an ad telling people, hey, we just emailed you the lead magnet, make sure that you go through it. And that should be your big goal with the top of funnel remarketing ads, just trying to get people back into the funnel with whatever front end incentive that you have in place. Okay, next let's move on to mid of funnel people. And these are people that have probably opted in, they've gone through your free incentive that you've provided. Maybe it's a free training, maybe they've signed up for a discount on your e-commerce store, but for some reason they still haven't purchased. So our goal over here is to, again, bring those people back in, but also now push them towards the purchase. The difference between the mid funnel and the top of funnel audiences is that with the top of funnel, all you were trying to do is re-engage the customers. Whereas with the mid-funnel remarketing strategy, not only are you trying to re-engage the customers, but you're also pushing for the sale. And the best way to achieve this is to make remarketing ads that resell the promise that your product or service is providing. And you need to reiterate all of the problems that your product or service is solving. See, the remarketing ads in this stage really need to focus in on the results that your product or service is getting. At this stage of the funnel, we're trying to really drive home the fact and re-emphasize all of the results that the product or service gets. So in terms of the types of ads, this is probably the place where you would want to use all of your testimonial style ads, because not only does it reiterate the fact that your product or service gets results, but it also shows that it gets results for other people by bringing in social proof. So in this stage of the funnel, you really want to demonstrate that your product works and it works for other people. With that said, let's work into the bottom of funnel audiences. Now, your bottom of funnel remarketing audiences are going to be the most valuable remarketing audiences. And that's because they've gone through your entire funnel but still haven't purchased. So if you are an e-commerce store owner, this is going to be people that have added things to their cart but never really purchased. If you are a info product owner or a SaaS owner, these are going to be people that have hopped on a sales call. Maybe they haven't jumped on the sales call but booked it, or they've gone to your webinar, they've watched it but not really bought anything from the sales page. So these are going to be people that are highly engaged with your brand. They've bought into the messaging, but somehow still not purchased. The key thing with this audience segment is that by the time that they've reached this end stage of your funnel, they've more or less been sold on the promise that your product or service delivers. However, there is still something that's holding them back from actually making the purchase. And it's these objections that the customers have at the last stage that you want to address with your bottom of funnel remarketing ads. So what I suggest doing is actually listing down all of the common objections that potential customers have before they purchase your product, and then going out and making a dedicated ad for every single objection that might come up. And you need to make ads that really address and overcome all of these objections. So if a common objection for your audience is that the price is too high, well then if you offer a discount, this is where you would make a remarketing ad offering the discount. And if you find that a common objection with your program is that people are a little scared to purchase because they might not receive the level of support that they need, and you offer things like group coaching or one-on-one coaching, well then make remarketing ads that re-emphasize the support factor. This is also the audience segment where you're going to want to really hammer in any sort of scarcity tactics that you might be employing in your business. So if you're getting on the phone with customers and you're getting the dreaded, hey, your product is awesome, we would love to buy it, but we'll probably do it next month or like the month after that, and you're getting this repeatedly, well then start making remarketing ads that add this level of scarcity in your product or service. And this can be ads that tell people that your offer is a limited time offer, or that you're going to be increasing price very soon, or even in some e-commerce cases, you can say that you're very low on stock. This is all going to push this really hot audience into purchasing. Now, one big thing with this audience is that you don't want to over bombard them with remarketing ads. By the time they've actually gotten to this stage, they've already interacted with your business a ton, And because you have multiple different angles and multiple different ads in this stage, you're going to want to keep your frequency low just to keep ad fatigue low. You're not going to want to show them the same angle over and over. And with that, that wraps up the bottom of funnel remarketing strategies. So in conclusion, you want to break up your funnel and address all of your customers differently with a different remarketing intent at each step in order to bring people back into your funnel and then further convince them to buy your product or service. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. Me and the team put out a ton of content. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.